Oi oi people, Silky here, and you're listening to the Lifer Musician Podcast, a podcast exploring the minds of creatives who've dedicated their lives to pursuing a career in music. The Lifer Musician Podcast is brought to you by Hookings Management, my artist services company that empowers our fellow DIY musicians to grow a monetised fan base without a record label. We offer a range of services such as online marketing, artist mentorship, release campaign management, videography, photography, graphic and website design, plus tons more useful services that are built to cater for independent musicians on small, self-funded budgets. Helping musicians market and monetize their art form is our passion. So if you're an artist that needs help taking your career to the next level, please feel free to reach out and get in touch via hookingsmanagement.com, where you can book a video call with me for some free advice on your project. On today's episode, I'm buzzing to be joined by Dave Mcwane. Dave is lead singer of legendary Boston ska punk band Big D and the Kids Table. The band is renowned for their strict DIY work ethic, a work ethic that has seen them sustain an incredible 28-year-long career, which highlights include 11 album releases, tours around the globe, including many headline tours, several walk tours, shows with the likes of Rancid, The Beat, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Anti-Flag, Goldfinger and many other big names on the ska and punk scenes. I'm sure that our listener base of DIY musicians are going to benefit hugely from Dave's wealth of experience in navigating the music business independently, so without further ado, let's get into it. Dave Mcwane, thank you for joining us today on the Lifer Musician Podcast. How are you, my brother?
I'm great, and it's really nice to see you for a second time.
Yeah, man. So we had a chance meeting at the New Cross Inn venue a couple of months back. I was interviewing the guys from Catbite and Bad Time Records. You guys were headlining the show that night. And admittedly, quite shamefully, I didn't know much about Big D and the Kids Table. But I absolutely loved your show and I've been hooked on your music ever since. So yeah, it's a real honour to have you on us today, mate. You're clearly legends of the scene. You know, I've done my research now and yeah, legends.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, I don't mean to embarrassingly volley it back, but like, you know, I always make a joke that I'm not really good with like people who I think are the shit or admire or things like that. I make a joke that like if there was an orange on a commercial and the orange was at the mall, I'd be like, wait, that's my wife. That's the orange from the commercial, right? So when I was in the basement of the Underworld, right?
I was in New Cross Inn.
New Cross Inn. Sorry. Yeah. That's just instincts.
Underworld's my favourite small venue, man. It's I fucking love that place.
Somebody posted a photo of the Underworld all mopped up and clean recently. And they were just like, oh, Ben Childs, the original guitar player for Sonic Boom 6 did it. And I was like, oh, don't even post that, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I digress. So I was setting up the merch and I saw you talking with Kill Lincoln. It was Kill Lincoln?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was Mike from Kill Lincoln, yeah. And the Catbite guys as well, yeah.
And I've been listening to your guys' stuff, Death Guitar Pop, for, a while. And I totally did a huddle with myself. I went... and I did the whole 7th grade. I was like, yeah, no, I mean, like, how would it not be him? You know what I mean? And then I just waited for an okay time to say hello, and it brightened my whole day.
Oh, man, I was so taken aback. And especially then, you know, when I saw the show and looked at you guys, I was like, fucking hell, like, yeah, I had no idea, like, you know, what a big deal you are on this scene. So it was a real compliment, mate. And yeah, lovely moment, man. So, all right, man. So yeah, the first question I got for you is the band formed in Boston back in 1995 when you were at Berklee College of Music. During this time, you formed your own record label, Fork in Hand Records, on which you self-released your debut album, Shot by Lammy, back in 97. So the first question I want to ask you is, how did releasing music independently back then compared to what it's like nowadays with all these great online platforms that we have at our disposal to make it so convenient for us DIY?
That's such a great question. So yeah, I mean, up to that point, it's ridiculous to think, but cassettes were pretty still, I mean, CDs had been around, but the mix mosh of your cassette collection and your CD collection were you had more cassettes at that point than CDs. You were just starting your CD collection in a way. And so, two things about it. So I was walking down Berkeley's, the Mass Ave, which is, any Boston person knows it's the main artery, if you will. So I'm walking down the street, and my friend Tom Appleman, who's in a different band. What's great about Boston is all genres hang out, because it's a small city. So like when you go to the bars, you go anywhere, like Cave In and all these, any genre, metal, that we all hang out at the same bar. So we're all listening to each other's like stories and like wow, it's really cool. So Tom is like, Dave, look, I just see him walking down the street. He's like, I got a CD of my new band. And I'm like, you made one of those new things? Like, I knew he didn't have a record deal. You know what I mean? So I was like, you made it? Like, you manufactured it? And he's like, yeah, you can do that. And I was like, well, like how? And he was like, we caught up about it, and I was like, okay. And so then I was like, I didn't realize you think you got to do that gatekeeper thing. You think you have to have other people do it for you. And so then I was like, oh, all right. And so little research, and then we found out CDs hold so much information more than cassettes that we put this other band Drexel on the CD and be like, we'll help you. And then we decided to call it a record label. And the main reason, whenever you put out your own record yourself, you should always have an imprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's fun. I mean, it's fun, and it's just good to do because you never know where the winds will take your sail. So we said Fork in Hand Records, me and Steve Foote, the bass player, Big D, and that was the start of it all.
And so were you selling records like just at shows, or did you go to record stores and like, drop them off there and get support from like independent record stores and things like that? Or was it all just like selling them at shows and just sort of locally, like, hustling and doing what you could?
Awesome. Yeah. So like straight up, no joke. And I'm proud of it. The first ones that started to sell, and this was during the days of straight up zines, straight up Xerox copy zines. That's how you got information. That's how you compilations is how, the CD compilations is how you got information. I remember my friend BJ Brown had an Operation Ivy shirt that he figured out how to get from California. And like, whenever he would wear it, everyone would be like, wow, how do you have because like everything wasn't so Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, they just deliver it. You know what I mean? It was like, where and how did you find the person that got you that, And so, the first couple records were straight up out of the trunk of your car. Like someone shows up and you're like, oh yeah, I have the CDs in my trunk of my car. And then you do the trunk of the car thing, or they just show up. You know what I mean? Because there's an address on it, and it was our address, and so people kind of just show up for CDs. Because you didn't know people give a shit.
So would you like advertise them in the zine, and then people would show up at the address that you'd advertised in the zine to buy it off you, and then you'd literally have them in like the trunk of your car or whatever?
I think the whole idea of advertising yourself as a band is a new thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, being a marketer, being an artist, and also thinking about marketing other than putting up flyers is a new whole idea. So we just existed as a band and just existed as artists, and people would show up. We wouldn't put ourselves out there. There was also kind of a faux pas. You have to remember, like, I'm coming from the metal and the grunge times, so there was a pretty big faux pas of advertising yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course, that's totally unwritten law now, but
I still think there is a bit of a stigma. Because obviously, if you've been following our progress, you'll see we're not shy about marketing ourselves, but that hasn't been a natural process. Do you know what I mean? The first time that we created a Facebook ad that said, "Do you like ska music? We're a two-tone revival band inspired by Specials and Madness, it felt daft. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like, oh, I could get a lot of shit for this. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel natural. As it happened, it was cool, and you know, it was fucking 95% positive feedback. But yeah, still had that kind of like, you know, that shame feeling of like, oh, we've got to advertise now. It feels corporate and record labely, and that's not what, like, you know, that's not what DIY and the punk ethos is about. But when you think about it, that is the modern way, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's actually more punk, I think, to advertise yourself, you know, than have someone else do it these days, the way that it, and you guys were doing that, you know, sort of inadvertently back then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with it today. I'm not always, you know, like for me, I've always been part of the small crowd, if you know what I mean, the small crowd. So I always look at our possible listeners as the small crowd. So when advertising, so yeah, it goes against my natural instincts, but you also want to unwind and relax. And the way I struggle with it, and I'm trying to look at it more as like bringing medicine to people. Do you know what I mean? Like music is medicine. And it's like, I can't not advertise our medicine if our medicine is what helps you.
I love that. Yeah, that's a really positive way of framing it.
Yeah, so I'm like these days I'm like, can you make a video for that show? And I'm like, I don't need that thing. You know, that thing that's going on. Like,
the social currency of like, oh look, I got fucking 2,000 likes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can see that I'm wearing the clothes of a lot of my heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like bands I used to listen to that might have been like, I'm not looked at as a shy guy, but now with this whole thing, I'm like, oh, you know, like, I don't know if I wanted yada yada yada, because I'm not Kim Kardashian. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not doing the thing. But then not to reiterate, but then you think to yourself, like, but if it could help a couple people, but if someone could, because, you know, they say, like you were saying with Big D, like, you didn't know the material. Like, of course, like, I was never a shepherd. They say, like, there's certain music shepherds that are like, I mean, I'm a shepherd in some ways with certain things, but, like, there are friends that you have that are music shepherds, and they go and they grab it and they share it and they tell you to sit down and they throw it down. And so, like, you know, I was late on a lot of ska because I wasn't a shepherd and I didn't have certain shepherds around me. So I knew Operation Ivy, I knew the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, of course, and I kind of was starting to understand Fishbone exist. You know what I mean? But I didn't know all the stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because nobody was showing me, and I wasn't going out to the fields and looking, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that, so, and are you talking about when you were already in the band, like doing your thing, you still didn't know quite a lot of the stuff?
I would say, yeah, before that, and then right when Big D started. So we were all at Berkeley, like you were saying, and the funny thing about it is we just started to shed, as they say, Operation Ivy songs. So it was like me, Mark Flynn, Steve Foote, and I was on drums, and I just wanted to play Operation Ivy songs. You know, forever, and then slowly, like, we were the kind of like 80s teen, 90s teen movie where we didn't have women that wanted to hang out with us. We were too young to drink. We were just proper dorks, and so then our horn player friends at Berkeley were like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "Well, why don't you come?" Because they weren't doing anything. Do you know what I mean? There was no happening. So Big D Practice just started becoming our circle of friends who love music, just kicking the ball around and just hanging out. You know what I mean? Just hanging out. And so we would write songs, and then everyone started to get a little bored because we couldn't find a singer, and then they made me be the singer.
It's funny how things work like that, isn't it? So in my first band, so the bass player and the drummer in that band that we formed over 20 years ago now, so when I was like 15, they're the bass player and the drummer in Deaf Guitar Pop's live band now, so it's awesome that we've been playing music together all that time. But our original lineup, there was like 5 of us in the band, and I wasn't the singer. I was playing like rhythm guitar, and the lead singer and the lead guitarist left. So I was like, oh fuck it, I'll sing. Do you know what I mean? And play guitar, and that's yeah, that's how I became a vocalist. You know what I mean? Almost by accident, because no other fucker wanted to do it, sort of thing. You know, so it's funny how things work out like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you sing though, like in other situations before?
Did I sing in other situations?
You know, like a
Yeah.
school choir.
Yeah, so again, like maybe it is the universe kind of like, you know, like pushing you down a certain avenue, like, but so like a year prior to forming my first, like, you know, garage band, there was like a rock music summer school where I'm from. In Chelmsford there used to be a music festival. You may have heard of it. It was called the V Festival. So Virgin, like, and it was a big festival. You know, Oasis used to headline, and you know, it was a big festival, like 100,000 plus people probably in attendance.
Geez, yeah,
big one. And they did this like sort of summer school thing for like, yeah, young musicians, and at the end you got a ticket to the festival. It was this really cool thing, and I applied to go on that summer school as a guitar player, but you had to pick a second option, and my second option was vocals, because I thought I can't fucking drum, and like
right.
yeah, like, and so I just I just put fucking vocals down. Like my balls hadn't even dropped, man. I sounded like Mickey Mouse, like yeah, like I got this thing back in the post to say you've been accepted to be on the course, but the guitar thing was full, so you've been accepted as a vocalist. And yeah, that was well out the comfort zone and well nerve-wracking, but that was my kind of first you know, experience of being a singer in any kind of like capacity. Yeah. What about you before Big D? Was that the first time in that band, or had you done other stuff before?
Oh, absolutely. Like I have no. So if you want to, it's like not you personally, like anyone who wants to understand Big D too, it's like you have to understand you have a vocalist that never is a drummer. Like I look at it as a drummer, and I look at drumming as like the belly gunner or the tail gunner, not the pilot. Do you know what I mean? Like love I have for supporting my vocalist, my guitar player. Do you know what I mean? You know, like drummers have this. You support this person, and you know you back them, and if you have a good drummer, and you know, you love them, and you're just there for them. That's kind of like where all my instincts are from. You know what I mean? And so like once you put me up front, you know, I mean, it's nuts. You know what I mean? It's like, why am I here? And so I think a lot of who I am on stage and where sometimes I kind of like redirect the band and the business has a lot to do with, cause I'm a drummer. Like with songwriting, I'll pull back with certain things. Cause you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, they say, so over here people say, I don't know if you know much about football, but they say like the drummer's the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like that analogy.
He never wins a show, he only loses a show.
Yeah.
because you go backstage and you always go, you played that too slow, you played that too fast, but nobody goes backstage and goes, hey, Chad, you played everything right.
Yeah. Well, you know, but our drummer is fucking awesome, and he won't mind me saying this, but bless him, he says like, oh, with 10 minutes before I'm on stage every gig, the blanket of self-doubt just like washes over me, and he plays to a click track, and he has this fucking, like in his ear it's like bloop bloop bloop, but that's all he really hears the whole gig. But he, you know, that's he fucking loves doing it, and he loves being in the band obviously, but yeah, I mean, the sacrifices he has to make to keep the band as tight as possible, to hear that all show, do you know what I mean? And get past that, like, I mean, look, like, I think we're all human, we all get nervous at points before shows, but I know that he particularly battles with it, so, yeah, maybe there's a different kind of responsibility with the drums. If the drums go to shit, the whole show kind of like unravels very, very quickly, doesn't it? You know, and the band can come to like a kind of a crashing halt if the drums like really lose, you know. Yeah.
And he's also like a psychiatrist with his with the tempos, because the singer is an emotional person because they're out there putting their self out there. So if one plays it too fast or too slow, the singer could get anxious or, you know, feel bad about themselves, like I'm not doing a good job. And then even if they're straight edge or not straight edge, they have either alcohol or whatever, or just adrenaline itself in them. And they're just like, you made me feel uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the poor drummer has to deal with volcanic emotions on tour.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's bang on, mate. The next question that I want to ask you is, I picked up this quote from an interview that you did for On the Upbeat podcast. Shout out to those guys that I really loved. You said, I look at me playing music as fighting for my life. I'm fighting society to try and play music during my life. I think that perfectly encapsulates the spirit of what this podcast is all about. So yeah, could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for asking. Well, I'm going to take it before music and just my life itself, you know, like, so, you know, with everyone dealing these days with ADHD, which it shouldn't be called ADHD, the word disorder shouldn't be in it. It should be, I call it ATC, attention to creativity.
Love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there can be better names for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously the person who named it didn't have the blessed thing. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm not related. But you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's not a disorder. It's the greatest thing in the world. But I was the guinea pig. I was the young kid before this time that they were like, well, he's really smart, but what's up with him? There's things going on here. Do you know what I mean? And so, and where my family was, like, we were, you know, a family, but we, you know, like, I don't want to give it off wrong because it's my family, but like, we're not Amish, and we're not like, we just didn't have money like other people did. You know, like I didn't have bikes. We didn't have the video game system. Like my wardrobe still has like jackets from when I was in high school. Like we were just people, like you could almost say like with the 1930s and the Great Depression in America, like if you like it, you take care of it. We were just people who had limited means. You know, we were limited means, and it's still to this day. So we're fortunate with love, but we're not fortunate with money and opportunities and connection and stuff like that. So music, I don't have the connections. You know, my uncle doesn't work for that record label. My mom isn't head of Burr. I don't vacation with you know, so it's like the doors are closed. And so I was just fighting. I was like, there's no way this isn't going to happen. Like I'm going to Jack Nicholson the door.
Love it.
You know, and I'm going to be here. And that's just my main quest.
Yeah.
I can't let my situation pull me back from what I love.
Yeah.
It's Operation Ivy and Boss Zones. You guys infected me with the poison, and now I'm a zombie, and I'm coming.
Love it, mate. No, I can certainly relate in that, you know, where we are in Essex, which is sort of, you know, the outskirts of London. Like,
which is the name of the town next. I just want to say Essex is. I heard you were from Essex from the song, and I'm like, oh, we're from Essex. Sorry.
Oh, what, there's an Essex near you, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm from Hamilton in Essex.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, cool, yeah. So, so where we're at is, yeah, we never had that network. There wasn't that, you know, yeah, no auntie or uncle at Warner Brothers or anything like that. We had to kick down the fucking doors to you know, make a name for ourselves and build something. And, you know, even now, I think what you know, have been able to build in Deaf Guitar Pop and then help other artists on their DIY quest. The network thing is still not, you know, there's no inner music industry network pulling any strings for us, you know. It just never, we've never been part of that club. Do you know what I mean? And that does, I think, you know, it instills, like, if you're so passionate about it, like you say, Operation Ivy and Boss Tones was where you got your I'm sure there was loads of other music and bands, but those were two that were real, you know, left a real strong impression. For me as a kid, it was Madness, and then as a teenager, it was the Britpop thing, Blur and Oasis, and then nu metal was huge for me. I was 14 and a pissed off teenager, and then that comes along, and a bit of pop punk to level it out, and then I come back to ska, you know, later in my life. But yeah, what was I getting at there? I don't know,
just the social economic kind of like you know, it's like, I'll interrupt you with just kind of saying on the surf on the same wave, like, you know, some people who are connected, it's not their fault, and that's one of the big things I want to, you know, people who are fortunate and connected and maybe rich, if you allows me to say, like, it's not their fault. You know, they're not becoming twiddly dee or twiddly dumb. They're being artists and making awesome stuff. So, you know, it's not a diss, you know, and I often, like, you know, pointed out, like, they're not doing anything wrong. I'm just focusing on the fact that, like, let's say, like, you're going to develop a house, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to build a house or build a structure. Some people who are connected get to that lovely part where you just get to decorate the house.
Yeah.
Some people have to, like,
fucking dig the first hole,
dig out the rocks, put the foundation down, build the walls, you know, and we have to do all these things. And it just builds us differently. And so nobody's wrong, but sometimes it's okay for the people who have to do everything themselves to mention it and not be shamed for it. Yeah,
man. Well, you'll love this. My granddad built the house where I first started, like, playing in a band. The shed is still at the bottom of the garden at my nan's place. My granddad passed away many years ago, but when Johnny and I started Death of Guitar Pop, we actually went back to that shed and started writing and jamming together there, because I wanted to recapture the magic of what it felt like to be in my first band at like 15, 16. And my granddad was an artist as well. He was a painter. So yeah, there's definitely like a, you know, something in the blood for sure. And I did hear you say on another podcast that where you're at now there's a link to your granddad, right?
Yeah, I mean, watch this. Like, my this isn't what he did for work. I just have it on my desk. He would just make these intricate, these intricate toys.
That's right? Man.
And just give them to people on his like.
That's incredible.
Like a Kris Kringle kind of, like, could make intricate toys and build things and he didn't do it. That wasn't how he made money. That's just how he just showed appreciation to people. That he'd make them just like this crazy thing. And so, yeah,
amazing.
A lot of my grandfather, and you're right, I live in a house right over cabin that he built just over there. And my wife and I, you know, did that whole new thing where you fix it up and
amazing.
You know, to make it work. And she kicked ass, you know, with sand in the floor. Like, she's awesome. And so, I'm at awe and trying to, I'll never be able to do what he did, but, you know, like, you know, just trying to, I don't know, like, be inspired by his skills and the idea of him. And, yeah, I mean, to go with it, just to get a little family. Here's a quick funny story. When my wife and I went on our honeymoon, she loves Harry Potter. She was like 5th in the world on online trivia.
Fucking hell.
And she had to stop because she was just like, she's like, I gotta stop doing it. And so we went to the Isle of Skye in Scotland, and where my family is from. And when we got there, the first person who talked to me was like, "You're Dave from Big D, aren't you?" Which was like, you know, like when we were talking about grandfathers, it was like such a big deal that the first person that talked to me said that. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's off the beaten track as well, isn't it? The Isle of Skye. That's like, exactly. Fuck,
anyway,
man.
Sorry to digress.
No, it's great, mate. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like, so you get inspired, don't you, by it? You know, you just grow up with it and you discover it and you want to do it. And then, yeah, I think if you've come from any, well, like you said, I don't think it doesn't have to be, you know, wealth or whatever, and that stuff. You know, there's people that are born into rich families that, that are real grafters, you know what I mean, like you and I, that have that same get up and go, and I think it's all just fueled by passion. But
Yeah,
but
totally.
yeah, if there is, I feel like, yeah, if there's an element of, you know, creativity and self-sufficiency that you've had no choice but to adopt, you
Yeah,
know, as part of your family setup, whether that's through, you know, an adverse family situation, or you know, like positive or negative dynamics within the family. If you've had to adopt that at some point, then that gives you an edge, I guess. Do you know what I mean? And a grit to
absolutely.
carry on
Yeah.
going on a journey like this.
But I find the music industry just so. I mean, now that one enters it, like, do you know the moment that you were like just a person, and like, I don't mean just a person. I mean, like, you're in a band, and a lot of bands want to get into the music industry, but they don't quite understand that what they're doing right there, right now, is fine. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like, once you go right into the industry, I always make the joke that, like, before your band gets, I don't know the adjective, like big or like, you know, whatever it is. Before it's usually hanging out with friends,
Mm.
chilling out with, you know, just doing your thing, doing your culture, doing your step by step. But then once the group gets a little bit bigger, now you're talking to promoters, and you're talking to maybe a label, and then you're talking to a booking agent, and you're talking to guitar techs, and you're talking to all the merch people, like, which is, you know, no just anyone. But you're like, oh man, I just like the other thing the most.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I don't. Sometimes you look around and you go, I just want every band to know that they're doing a good job before like, you're not doing a bad job. Like, you're great. You're doing a good job. Drawing up 50 people, 150 people, 300 people, 500 people. That is amazing.
Yes.
And the story's over. Story is over. You did it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't need thousands. You don't need the festivals. You don't. But if
Yeah.
you want to go for it, you're already awesome.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because what's thrown in our, and not so much nowadays, because things have become, you know, more about the tribes and everything on the online communities, and alternative guitar music in particular. It's just outside of the mainstream now, isn't it? You know, you've got really,
Right.
so bands like, I was looking at footage of Rock Am Ring from, I think, last weekend, and you got bands like Sum 41 and Papa Roach and Limp Bizkit that, you know, haven't had any mainstream exposure for like 20 plus years. All right, they had a lot when they had that spike back then, but you know, for 20 years they haven't had a look in mainstream media. Yet they're still, like, there's 90,000 people there. The live demand is stronger than ever. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it just proves that like nowadays there's so much less, like that bottleneck media that we used to rely on, the gatekeepers and everything. Like, of course, you know, if artists can find ways, if they want to, you know, do that and give themselves the biggest possible platform,
Yeah.
then you know, it can certainly, you know, introduce you to a mass audience and accelerate your growth if that's what you want. But it's no
Yeah.
longer necessary. But so things have changed, but still, like, you know, in my lifetime and growing up with Top of the Pops and, you know, and Oasis, like having the Beatlemania thing over here and everything else,
Yeah.
there's this culture, and the talent shows as well, where everyone's given this, like, you know,
Yeah.
mass exposure very quickly, and they're a star overnight if they've done well on it. And by the way, those shows, I don't enjoy watching them, but I respect any artist that's got the balls to go and do that, you know. But people, you know, the masses look at that. They look at, you know, what's in the mainstream, and I think musicians can be guilty of getting caught up in it as well. And because they're not there, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you
Yeah.
say, they're rocking a club of like 400 people, and they're selling 500 units of their vinyl, and then they start talking to industry people, and that they just fixate on, like, well, we're not here, we need these, and it becomes that they completely devalue everything they've already done and all the great work they've done. And
Yeah.
I agree, man.
I mean, it's crazy all over the board. I mean, I love what you're saying though, because like I have to, going back to also one of your points, like the Jules Holland show. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe in every open call. I mean, it's not an open call, but you know what I mean. Like I believe in that, and I believe in like Tom Petty said, you know, a lot of those, The Voice and America's Got Talent, people would laugh at the fact that you got famous from a game show. That's a good quote. Like if one wants to look it up, but that's just where we are right now. And I believe in an open call because when I was young, there was no open call.
Yes.
There was, you know, like you're saying with digital distribution. I mean, digital distribution is almost like the most DIY success that has ever happened in DIY success ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can distribute my record to the world. You know what I mean? I mean, that is amazing. So yeah, I believe in all the advances. You know, Big D is just that perfect bridge where the 90s ska explosion happened and then the 2000s started and then the 2000s started to develop itself. And then Big D just like held this bridge while ska was just frowned upon until what people say these days is now like a revival, like, you know, a positive attitude, and rather than a shunning. And so, you know, I feel really good at this point with the band that we've gotten to this point where ska is now, you know, you got the Interrupters, you got Catbite, you got Guitar Pop, you got Kill Lincoln, you know, the Union, you know, Jeff Rosenstock, you know, everything is killing. And so, I don't know. That's the lovely thing about ska is that when it's underground, it's underground. And when people realize they love it, or need it. I mean, I have a joke that like the classic 9-to-5er, a 9-to-5, you know, work 9 to 5 in the United States. The classic 9-to-5er works their ass off and then flies to a different country they can't afford. They don't like ska. They like other music. They fly to a different place where all they listen to is ska and reggae, and then they come back and go, I needed that.
That's true, man. Yeah.
They could have just listened to it.
Yeah. Fucking, that's so bang on, mate. I'm definitely swiping that, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, but they always say that. I needed that. We had a lovely time. Jesus Christ, you can do that every day.
Mate, the amount of people that go to me, you know, to be honest with you, I wasn't really a fan of ska. I don't really like ska, but I like what you're doing. And I think, like, mate, every time Baggy Trousers comes on at a wedding, you're fucking beer in the air, like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It still makes everybody the most positive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you've managed to keep Big D and the Kids Table together for 28 years now. That's like a fucking incredible lifespan for any band. You're still here, stronger than ever, releasing new music, touring. How have you been able to sustain it for so long and keep the momentum up?
Okay. So the first thing I would say is drive and addiction to writing music. Not addiction for, you know, we've already kind of like covered it, but like not addiction for people to love you, but just there's an addiction to writing songs. I mean, a certain kind of songwriter, it does have kind of a curse on them. They can't stop. You know what I mean? And that's why I want always every music listener to be like, would they do it if there was no money? Would the addiction be enough? You know, the musician. So with Big D over the years, you know, some guys we didn't know. Because, you know, we don't take money. Like Big D doesn't really make money for the people. We make money for Big D and our addictions to music.
Sure.
And so some of the guys that have had to leave the band, but we're all still friends. Like it's just an institution. It's a beautiful institution. Like they just had to kind of like, we didn't know at one point, like, oh, if I get married, do I have to quit the band? You know what I mean? If I, you know what I mean? Like, does that mean I have to quit the band? And so like certain people have moved on, but I just want people to know that Big D has never had aggression in the band. It's always been friends playing music together. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I could go on for volumes, but I don't want to go too far. You know, we're just really close friends.
Brilliant.
That's what it is. And anybody out there who's playing in a band and they have problems with the person in the band, like, make sure you love the people in the band. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be a family. It has to be people that you know you're connected to. But I forgot the question. What was the question?
Just how you've been able to sustain it for so long.
Yeah, the addiction. Just like, you know, I always said when I was like 15, 16, 17, you know, when teachers are always going like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They do that in the United States. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Who are you going to be? What are you going to be? And I said, I'm going to be in a band or a statistic. Like, I'm going to be in a band, or I'm going to be on the bus that blows up. You know what I mean? Like, or something's going to happen. And you have to be the person that cuts the hair out of the Marshall cab wheels. You know, like the wheels. You have to be the guy a person who wants to cut the hair out and be like, and feel pride when you go. You're like,
yeah,
you gotta love it. You know
you
what
really
I mean?
do.
And so, like,
you know that venue smell. You know it, right? I haven't even got to describe what that smells like, but yeah, you love it, right? It's like to the normal nose, it's the worst fucking stench in the world, but to us, it's like, I'm home.
Yeah. I mean, like, that picture that Ben Childs or somebody posted of the underworld after it had been mopped, and it was just a good picture.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could have cried. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the back room at the Underworld, man, fucking hell, there's some... Yeah, I think that could be the grimiest, but it's so... I love it. I love that environment. It's just got such a charm and an energy, isn't it? It's, yeah.
And just real quick, just because I want to make sure with that last question, like, my sorry ass, my friends here in New England, I shouldn't have ever visited Slovenia 8 times. I shouldn't be able to go to bed, and when I can't sleep, instead I think about Japan. That's 3 hours, or sorry, not 3 hours, but many hours ahead, the opposite hours ahead. And think about, or China, the woman who's always there doing sewing on that one corner. You know what I mean? Like through the band, we've got culture. Like, we might have had to sing for our suppers every night, but we got culture, and I'm not supposed to have all that.
Amazing, yeah. So the life experience, yeah.
It's just so good.
And you met your wife through the band?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, we worked out...
Through the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your world just, you know, your whole, your little universe, when you're in for life, it just, everything, all these great things, like, sprout out of it, don't they? And so, yeah.
Like Chris says, getting out of step, like, getting out, just taking a chance and working really hard for yourself, because nobody's going to work harder for you than you. Nobody is going to work harder for you than you.
Definitely.
And so, you know, putting that extra effort in is just made a lot of dreams come true. A lot of people who are my friends see lovely things. You know, just saying, like, big D tattoos. A lot of people have, like, these meaningful I mean, like...
Yeah, man, that's unreal, mate. Well, I mean, so from that, then what I've sort of like deciphered from that is it's just about keeping, like, the relationships positive, and the love and the respect being there. That's paramount. That's, like, number one. But then also having the same for the process and the art. Like, I guess those, from what you've just said, hopefully I've summarized that well. They're the key ingredients. Do you know what I mean? To what gives us real longevity in bands and as artists or whatever.
But, you know, if you don't mind me jumping in,
no, go for it, man.
But, like,
no, I love it.
For people who are in a band that want to do it, a couple things make sense. I would say, don't talk about anything negative after the show. You might have driven 2 hours or 12 hours to a show. We're all addicted. We all want to play 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. So don't say anything negative after the show, because, again, you might have alcohol or adrenaline. They're both real things.
Yeah.
You're straight edge. You still have adrenaline, and you just put yourself in front of a lot of people. So you know, you're kind of compromised. So don't say anything negative after the show, because nobody deserves it. And only say things positive. Wait till the next day to say something. And if you don't say it the next day because you're over it, because the adrenaline's gone, then you didn't need to say it.
Yeah.
You didn't need to say it anyway. And so just don't take away, you know, people's the reason why we're all here from someone that night, you know?
Yeah.
And the other one real quick is, my dad told me this, and he's not even a musician. He's like very far from that. And he's like, don't forget to say, this is not how his voice sounds. Don't forget to say everybody's name on stage. You know what I mean? So if you're a singer, like, don't forget to, this is Alex the drummer. These are the people, because like they can't speak, they're there, and so it's like it's a freaking nice courtesy,
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. No, I think that's really important thing to do. Acknowledge it. I mean, we shout out the sound man as well. That's really important because he's part of the family and part of the crew. Shout out to Rob Coates and Jake. Sometimes it's Jake. Yeah, but it's interesting you should say that, because my old band was together for a long time. But we were we drowned in that negativity at times, and the pressure and everything, and we would argue after shows and everything. And I think we just learned when like Johnny and I formed Deaf Guitar Pop, I was really just like dipping my toe in the water, because at that point I'd been hurt by music. I'd had this career that essentially hadn't worked out, had a couple of months where I thought, I'm out, you know what I mean? And then, like you said earlier, you realise you're a lifer, or you said it in other words, but I think this is what you were getting at, when you realise, I'd do this just because I want to do it. Whether anyone's listening or I'm getting paid or whatever, I need to write these songs. Like I need this thing, and I got that again, and and everything we've done in Deaf Guitar Pop has been, it's just been so positive. The relationships in the band and the crew, and the way we talk to one another and big one another up, and it's a real, it helps that it's a big band, so it's like a fucking football team, like, camaraderie, a big team of characters. But yeah, I've been in both of those bands, you know what I mean? I've been in a band where it's really toxic and everyone's just like fucking, getting on one another's case and chipping away and criticising, and
for what ends?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's bollocks, mate. Yeah, it's bollocks.
But may I I just, if you don't mind me saying, because you're talking about Death Guitar Pop, like, the ska scene is happening right now, like really blowing up again, and I don't know where Death Guitar Pop is in the scene, but I gotta say, I kind of quickly, nervously said it to you at the Underworld. What's it called again?
New Cross Inn.
New Cross Inn. Sorry, it's just my brain. A New Cross Inn. I know it. Yeah. I just think you guys are helping. I mean, you for me, for who I am in the ska scene, and looking at certain bands, and always looking for inspiration, and always looking for that perfect nucleus explosion in the heart. It is you guys. I mean, you guys you guys just, oh my God, I will always be rooting for you guys.
Oh, bless you, man.
Like,
thank you.
Yeah. It's like we're talking about what is it for? Like, you guys already gave me personally everything.
Oh man, that's so kind of you to say, man. I'm blown away by that.
I appreciate it. So I just want to thank you so much for the songs. I mean, they're so good. I think you guys are the top band. I think you guys are the top band in the ska scene, hands down.
Oh, bless you, man. Thank you so much, Dave. That really fucking means the world, man. And
I don't mean to.
No, fucking hell. I'm going to throw it back at you in that, like, where, so just a little bit of backstory. This is your podcast, so I don't want to hijack it. But so I loved Madness as a kid. My parents sort of put that on me at a young age. There was a VHS of Divine Madness that my dad brought home from work with all the music videos on. When I was like 5-6 years old, and I turned it on, and that was like in rotation with the Disney films and the Oliver Twist and everything. And it was because it's so like theatrical and sort of, like it's cartoony. As a kid, I couldn't distinguish the difference, and I fell in love with dancing to it, and I wanted to be Suggs. He was my initial like pin-up like rock star, if you want, and then when I formed Deaf Guitar Pop, I didn't know much about ska. I had this Trojan ska compilation that I bought at like a local market because they were playing Toots 54, 46, and it stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, whoa, what's this? And I bought
Best
it.
lyric in the world.
Oh mate, yeah. Go on.
Yeah,
Which lyric from the song? Which one?
Him saying his number.
Yeah. His prison number.
For me, that's the best lyric of all.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. What a story. And it's fucking real, like, you know. And so yeah, but other than that Trojan compilation and the madness thing, and obviously everyone knows the specials over here and the big hits and that, but didn't know much about it. And then when I started, like, at the end of my old band, the only music that was really, I basically stumbled across the ska and the skinhead and mod subculture, and just for me, you know, that was probably 10 years ago now. Def Guitar Pop's been together 7 years, so like I'm always discovering new music that's been out there, and stuff like you guys that's legendary on the scene. It's been around for a long time. So I just want to throw it back at you and say, fucking hell, I'm having all these moments. Like a few years ago, I discovered the Aggrolites, and like you know, it could be an old Blue Beat track or something like that. That's the great thing about the genre, because it isn't mainstream. I know it's had its time in the mainstream here and there, but it's just almost like an untapped resource, and there's all these great bands and great one-off records and old like tunes from the 60s and whatever. And you discovering you guys off that chance meeting, and I've been listening to so much of your music. No doubt it's going to inspire our next phase and our next record. So I had to throw it back at you, man, and I mean that's from the heart as well, you know. So that's what it's all about, right?
And that's and you know, just thank you. And at the same time, like, people talk about money and fame and success, but what you just said, like, Breathy's gearing up to, you know, write a new record soon. Like, we're getting, you know, like, we start putting the pokers in the fire, and like, when are we gonna get together? And you know, there's certain songs like 69 Candy Street, you know, Rickety Old Train that blows my mind. And same back at you, I'm gonna be like, listening. I mean, I already mainlined you guys. I'm not to have such a dark analogy, but like, you know, but like, you know, like, I've been listening to you, like, same here, man. And that's the beauty of the culture.
Yeah, it's very, like, you know, the whole still like an artist thing. That's encouraged, isn't it, in ska? Do you know what I mean? And the you know, covers and collabs and everything, like, it's what it's all about. It's quite similar to hip hop culture in the collabs, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's it's a beautiful.
And it's similar to the blues. Like, the blues have the 12-bar blues, and the 12-bar blues are already written. So it's like, hey, you want to write a song? It's like, well, it's already written. It's just lyrically and melodically, what can you do on this track?
Yeah.
What are you going to say on this track?
Yeah.
And so in ska, it's kind of like, I look at this as the mischievous jazz, and like guys that are just like all dirty enough that were part of the blues, and like, you know what I mean? Like, just in music, you're musicians. And we all are looking at each other within our genre going, what are you going to do on it? Like, how are you going to do it? You know what I mean? And then we all go, oh, that's awesome. Because I never do that.
Yeah, man, it's a fucking unreal community, because, you know, I've been in other bands in other genres where it can get a bit cliquey and competitive and all that bullshit. And a big thing for me becoming a musician when I was 14, 15 years old, I wasn't the sporty guy. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't naturally competitive. Like, that's not really. Right. I'm hard working and driven and everything, but it's not to beat other people. It's like I'm in contest with myself. Do you know what I mean? And
yes, yeah.
That and
musicians also have to know that in the music industry, there isn't a certain amount of seats on the bus. I mean, the people need to know, like, it's not like that's one seat and we're all competing for that seat. You know, like, the grunge scene did it beautifully. Yeah, they said, we're together, and then they took down the music industry and all prospered. Yeah, and that's obviously a ska scene thing. Yeah, and I also look at genres like ska. Like, if you want to get intricate, like you're saying, like with ska, like as ordering a pizza with friends. Like I personally don't like mushrooms on my pizza, right? But I'm not against people who like mushrooms on their pizza, right? So like I order my pizza and I enjoy it and I'm happy you have your pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but it all smells good. We're all good. You know what I
Fucking
mean?
brilliant, mate. Love it, man. Cool, man. So, all right, next question. From what I can see, you've only ever self-released music or been on indie labels, and the band has a fiercely independent spirit. So, yeah, where does that come from?
I would like, okay, so yeah, my upbringing was heavy metal and grunge, and the title was alternative back in the day. So
Yeah.
I grew up with the whole like attitude of don't sell out, write songs. I think for some musicians and artists, your music is what your soul sounds like. You know what I mean? It's who you are. You know what I mean? That's your soul. And in I'm not trying to get a little squirrely, but if some people are just looking to be famous, like I'll play any genre, just get me. Well, that's what your soul sounds like. You know what I mean? And so, you know, what was the original question again? One more time.
So it was like the band's fiercely independent spirit. Like, where does that come from?
So it's kind of held us back. It's kind of held us back. Like if you're a songwriter who knows how to make a pop song, right? That'll be what you do. It's kind of like a book that a choose your own adventure. But if you're a band who doesn't really play those kinds of songs, not against it. It's, I wish I liked sports. I wish I liked things that people like. I just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not against it. You know what I mean? It's like, I wish I liked it. So Big D chooses, we make decisions, and being an entertainer is not a Big D decision. You know what I mean? Like Big D wants to be like in the metal industry. Big D wants to be Anthrax.
Not Metallica.
Don't want to be Metallica. I don't want to throw the party. I want to go to the party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, none of my heroes are massive pop stars. Do you know what I mean? So that, so I mean, I like, but even of course, I love Tom Petty. I love Motley Crue. Like they're massive pop stars. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, doing it, but you know what I mean? Like that's not our goal. Yeah. Our goal is to make 2 to 5 to 15 people in an audience of 700 go, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And you're right, like you say, you're writing from your soul on your terms, so, anyone liking it is a bonus beyond that, because that, I understand, man.
Bonus. It's just a bonus. Yeah.
Cool.
Because one of Big D's mantras, one of my main mantras is, wait till they get a load of this.
Yeah, because you do.
It's not. I hope we make the crowd happy. It's let's get them.
I've noticed that because you're not afraid to like genre hop a bit. Do you know what I mean? And do some mad shit, are you? You've got songs like Metal in the Microwave, and then songs like We Can Live Anywhere, and Doped Up Dollies, and Shining On. They're all quite different, but they do. It all sounds like big. It's cool, man. It's a party, innit, with lots of different moods and. Yeah, awesome.
And I apologize to the fans that think we're like, a stamp approved one thing. You know what I mean? Like, when the Strictly Rude listener hears Flute and Stroll and they go, it's not the same thing. I understand. I'm an Iron Maiden fan. Iron Maiden, of course, Up the Irons. Like you want certain things to be there. It's like you want certain things to be there for you, and Big D is always there for you, but in just a different way. I mean, like AC/DC's always there for you.
Yeah.
Like, if you need it, they got it.
Yeah.
But we're there for you in just a different way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So your latest album is aptly titled "Do Your Art." Let's talk about the sentiment behind that title and why you chose it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we've probably covered quite a bit of it.
I would connect. We are all connecting with different people, and a lot of my most talented artists have it be like Matt Hooker, who paints. He would never give it up, but just dance, music, art, just artist friends. We just had these kind of conversations that are like, yeah, I'm gonna kind of like, make it my secondary thing. I just wasn't good enough. And that's where I kind of like chirped in the whole I'm not good enough. I'm not. You're not good enough because, like we were saying earlier, it's all about connections. It has nothing to do about your skill or your piece. It's just who you know, and it's a rigged game. And
Yes.
so, art is the most important thing. And these artists, these people who can do things I can't do, like my wife could draw you with a pencil, your face, and it would look perfectly. I could be put on a deserted island for 100 years and still never draw your face as good as my wife can. And that's her like Marvel comic, DC comic, like skill. Do you know what I mean? And so you don't have to be Wonder Woman or Superman. You can be Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Rogue and Deadpool and Wolverine. Like these characters might not be the top characters, but we still love their story and they're still important. And so it's like I just see as humans are getting more put in cages and more like you have more bills, so you can't do like we're getting put in ice cube trays.
Yeah.
And the
Diluted.
artists are starting to give up, and I'm starting. Oh, they can't take it away from you unless you give it up.
Yeah,
You know?
amen. No, I certainly had that thing where I was sort of, as I was approaching 30, the band
Yeah.
that I was in, like I said, had gone to shit and the record deal didn't work out or anything like that. And yeah, a couple of months before I started writing the Deaf Guitar Pop stuff, I thought, yeah, I'm nearly 30 and nothing's happened. You know what I mean? I'm not good enough. You have that shame. I don't know where that fucking toxic shit comes from. It is just society, I guess, and the media and culture, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've had it before where I've had mates in bands and they'll that missus would get pregnant or whatever, and he'd be like, yeah guys, I can't come again in like once the baby's here, I'm out, like. And it's like I get that's coming from a positive place of wanting to be there and as present as a father, but it's a shame that people think that you can almost grow out of it, and if you're not at this level, whatever that is in their head, you haven't achieved X, and it's just they've categorized it as just a hobby or whatever or something.
Yeah.
They start to look at it as, oh, I need to grow up now. Do you know what I mean? And just put that. There's more important things I need to worry about as a grown adult or whatever. And that's a shame, isn't it, man? Because you're
And,
right.
like actors don't have to deal with that because actors can like go into different roles. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They can like look different, play different parts. But like he said, like it's the culture. It's like and like what like throw to the wind the culture we speak about, but like that a musician has to be a certain thing and do it at a certain time. Like I get it, but like it's an untruth. And so it's like one of the biggest poignant moments I ever had as a musician was I came back for a summer and I was just driving through my local town where I was, I'm from, and I'm just driving. I'm driving through Chabaco Lake, and it's just like a mangy little pond kind of lake. I'm just driving a dirt road, and I see this gazebo that is a gazebo I've seen my whole life driving this road. Nobody's ever there. It's just an old white gazebo, one of those things like from the 30s or 40s that nobody goes there. And it's full of people. And it's happening. And like I said, I've never seen that in my life. So I pull over the car, whatever I was doing, I had to be like, why the hell are people, what is going on? I had to go investigate. And it was an old folks home that like went to the gazebo, and it was loaded in. It had a piano, it had a PA, it had decorations, and there were people that worked for the place that were obviously taking care of it. And it was the best female drummer I've ever seen, ever, doing jazz. Singers, they're playing jazz. Everyone's in. This is like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? And everyone's dressed to the nines, and they're playing. Like they're just playing old school, amazing Billie Holiday jazz. Everything you want out of lovely jazz music, and they're all dancing, and it's the most lovely thing you've ever seen ever. And even the people that are part of the old folks home are smiling. And I went like this, oh, you can do music for your whole life.
Yeah, love that, man. What a
You know what I
beautiful
mean? 'Cause
moment.
the band was part of the old folks home, you know? I was
Excellent.
like, oh.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's
Never
about
seen,
that's the medicine that you were talking about earlier, isn't it? That's the medicine. You know what I mean? It's
no, I didn't, you know, because of culture.
yeah,
You're like, oh, you're done. You're Logan's Run. You're sent to death. You know, like, but you're like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in this one spot, and it's. I mean, everyone's in their 70s.
yeah, incredible, man. Right, so yeah, what's been the highlight of your music career?
Oh, that is such a great question. All right, so I have a couple. I think the fact that Lint from Operation Ivy, guitar player, actually knows who I am is the most ridiculous thing to ever be in part of my life. And for people who don't know, Lint is Tim Armstrong from Rancid. And, oh, geez, my heart's already starting to beat. And in Canada, there was this Amnesia festival where Big D played Amnesia, and it was like a 3-day thing, and like for the after party, like Goldfinger or somebody like played a Green Day record, and somebody played a different record, and we were to play Operation Ivy's Energy one night. And I thought if you ever go to these festivals, you know, the after parties usually at some small bar, and there's not many people because, you know, the show's over, and there's usually like 12, 28 people, you know, it's a small thing. And so we learned all of Operation Ivy's energy and linguistic, like lyrically, like Jesus, it was quite an undertaking. And I was 100%. And so I saw Darren from Goldfinger, the drummer, and I was like, hey, so we're here. Like, how many people are going to be at this thing? Is it just going to be a small thing? And he goes, oh, you don't know? And I'm like, I don't know what. And it was like the most people it was like 8,000 people. It was like the most people we've ever played. So I thought we learned energy to play in front of 24 people. You know what I mean? But the night of the show, it was 8,000 people, our biggest show. And everyone was there, from the Suicide Machines to the Interrupters to Lint, Tim Armstrong, and he sang with us. And, you know, not to go back to what we're saying, is like, I'm not supposed to experience that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not supposed to be able to have that amazing moment happen. So that was pretty crazy. Wow. But I'll go further. And Yako from Melt Banana. Melt Banana is a noisecore band from Japan. I think they started, I don't know if they started 87 or 89. I think it's 89. But, or 89 is when I just kind of caught wind of them. But she's, if I couldn't be me, I'd be her. You know what I mean? Like, easily. If I couldn't be me, I'd be Yako from Melt Banana. Mm-hmm. And I just never seen. If you've never been to a Melt Banana show, go and then just look at the audience. Like usually their jaws are open. Well, now they're quite popular, but before, when they showed up, get a load of this. People don't know them. They're like, let's get this crowd to see us. People just go, oh my God. And so she once said, we did a split with them a couple times. We did a music video and a song for the new record together with her and a guy, the guitar player, who's the best guitar player on the earth. And once we were playing a small club in Boston, and we were settling up in the back, you know, with the dishes and the dryers. And she goes, you have a really cool voice. And I think the fact that she said that to me was just the greatest thing in the world. And then lastly, I'll say that Joe Gittleman of the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, the bass player, the fiddleman, we're just friends now. Yeah. You know, like, and I'm saying it in a dorky way, like you're not supposed to like blow the spot up, but like we teach together in schools, and it's like we're friends, and that idea is just mind blowing. We're honest friends now, but like he was such a big deal.
Incredible.
You know what I mean?
Incredible.
So I don't wear that clothes very well. You know, I don't go like, yeah, me and Joe are friends. I'm like,
You're in awe of that, like, yeah, that's great, man. What a great. So first and foremost, I think that just demonstrates that you'll always be a fan. Do you know what I mean? And always,
I'm a
like,
listener. I'm not in the band. Yeah.
oh, mate, dude, come on, you are in a band, but that you've got that fan like excitement will never leave you, and that's great. That's what makes you so. That's what's given you this longevity, this respect and passion and excitement that it brings you still to be doing this. So that's a great answer. Okay, so the next one's a little more negative, but it doesn't have to be. What's been your what's been your biggest struggle as a musician?
Okay, you know, I always have to do like flower pellets, so pedals. I can't just do one. Like, the first one is, you know, I want every singer to know out there that it starts with excitement. With, yo, we got this really awesome tour. Oh my god, we're going on tour with blah blah blah. This is going to be crazy, and maybe we have like a record deal. You know what I mean? Exciting things are happening. And then the singer, like, and I mean singers, but I also mean everybody, but I am speaking to singers. So we're going to go on this big tour. And then suddenly your life kind of changes. Like, can you do that radio interview before the show? Yeah. But don't forget, your high school friend is showing up at 3:00. Okay, right. And then don't forget, yada yada is happening, and you got to do that. Okay, and suddenly you're on this Amy Winehouse carousel of just like everyone's giving you a thing to do, and you're like, yeah, I can do that, and you're just beating you. Like, I've always done it. I just have endless energy, and I can do it. Like, meaning not like fake energy. Like, I can't believe I'm where I am, and I can keep doing it. But like, some people don't have my grandmother's ability in them, and so like I say to people, like, you know, be careful. The singers, like, you can wear them out. You know what I mean? Like, you can too much. It's just too much. You know what I mean? And maybe less. Can you do it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think burnout from time to time is inevitable. Yeah, particularly for singers, because they're usually the kind of spokesperson, aren't they? And quite often the team captain and the driving force. I shouldn't say the driver, because my bass player will fucking kill me for that, because he's been driving my sorry. He's been driving.
I used to be the drummer until I became the singer. As a drummer, I was the driver. The singer,
upgrade. Then you get all this other shit like press and fucking sorting the merch out.
Then the other thing that we're saying is like, and then I want everybody to know who's in a band that your friends and family. Okay, your friends and your family. Don't look for them to say the thing or act the way you're hoping. You know what I mean? Like, anybody in a band knows that they can't play their new song to their friends and family without their friends and family interrupting in the song, but they're a dork. And there's a difference between a dork and a nerd. Nerds are mean, dorks are awesome. So, you know, nerds are meanie pants, but dorks are like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, so when I say the word dork, I mean it with love.
Yeah, sure.
And so, like, you want them to do that dork thing where you're like, wow, that's a really good bridge, or, you know, but they just talk and they do this thing called, you know what you should do. And it's like, you know what you should do? You should write a song everybody likes. You know what you should do? You should really go on tour with big bands. You know, you should get your song on the radio. So it's like, you got to watch out for, like, the most important people, showing the most important people in your life your stuff, because they have a hard time with it.
Mate, that resonates so much, because I said this to someone a little while ago. One of the things I got wrong when my music career wasn't going as well was because it didn't, you know, going back to what we were saying earlier about not really having a network. In our peer group of friends and musicians, we've always been the eldest and the one that's just like a little bit further along, and the go-to guys, you know, Silks need to shoot a music video, who should I talk to? And, You know, like we were like the older people in our group always, and the ones to be kicking the doors down first, I guess. So we didn't have any mentors like to. We did find some music mentors in the end that were wicked, but for a lot of the time, it was okay. I don't have anyone. I don't know the fucking guitar player from this band, or anyone. I don't have a friend that's managed this band, or so you go to the people that you love and respect the most in life in general. And music is one of those things. This is where sports and music is similar. Everyone's got a fucking expert opinion on it because everybody loves those forms of entertainment. So they've got, they feel strongly and they're fans and they've got strong opinions, and it's only coming from a great place. If like your friends and family just want to help you and want to see you do well, but they don't understand the game. They are not music people. They're not. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so, and you can get yourself really. And because we're sensitive writer types, do you know what I mean? One little thing that they suggest or say or go, that you can really take that on board and get it twisted, and it's not their fault. They're looking out for you, and you're going to them and asking for them for something. But what I learned was like, I can't. I guess as soon as I got around people that were more experienced and could be qualified mentors, and that's not even people I know. That's just the one of the gifts of social media and the information age. There's podcasts like this out there. There's YouTube channels and there's the information's out there. Do you know what I mean? And there's people that you can have as mentors that you've never met because you can just binge on all their podcasts and bits and pieces and books or whatever. But I definitely got like caught up in what you're saying, man, and that really relates. I'm so glad that you've mentioned that because I would have never have thought to have brought that up on a podcast, and that's so important for any aspiring musician that's listening that might be in that same position.
I mean, my God, if we took a poll, which we can, and the poll was like, I played my new song for my high school, my brothers or sisters, like genetically brothers or sisters, or mom and dad, or whoever is important to you. It doesn't matter. And the person didn't say anything. You played the song, listened to the whole song, and the person spoke to you like your best friend when you were 14 or 15 and was getting into music and spoke the exact same language that got you into it. It would be like 0.0000001%.
Yeah.
We look for it because that's our thing.
Yeah.
But no one's gonna be Chris or Andrew or Jeremy or Brian that were your buddies that were like, wow, I mean, like, listen to this.
I do remember that actually being like 15 and having some pals come to the band hut, the shed that we used to rehearse in, and go, listen to this, and then their reaction just being like, fucking hell, this is so good. And that, I guess, you're always chasing that then, aren't you, for the rest of your creative career.
That's why I think all ages shows are important, even though I can't make it happen all the time, because I think music takes a backseat to socializing once in the States, 2021. You know what I mean? Like, because now you're going and you're like, well, what about Rebecca? What about Kimberly? She might like me. Like, you're going to the show, but you also have to you're also kind of being social. Yeah. But when you're like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like, you're just like,
tunnel vision. Yeah. Yeah.
Here. I am here. And that's music.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Well, look, dude, this has been such a wonderful chat. I've got one more question for you to wrap it up. And we may have answered it already, but I'm sure you're going to have some more gems to drop, no doubt. So,
if you don't mind, I have a couple questions at the end.
Oh, yeah, of course, mate. Fire away. So my last question to you is, what advice would you give an aspiring artist that you haven't already given tonight, this evening, just getting started on their journey? Anyone that's starting out, what's the key bit of advice that you'd give them?
Two things. I would say one is you have to love the music that you play. You have to love it. We already talked about being nice to band members, so that's one of them. But you have to love it. Like, I would go on the Warped Tour. you know those movies. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I grew up in Twilight Zone, but there's Black Mirror.
Yeah.
You know Black Mirror. You could be a musician that enters an episode of Black Mirror, or you could be a musician that enters an episode of The Twilight Zone, where you're so focused on being in a big band that you did it, and every day you're playing songs you don't like. You know what I mean? And you did it. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you gotta love the songs that you play, because you play them every day. And we used to go on Warped Tour and different festivals, and I don't know what it is about my character, but guitar players would always come up to me at the barbecue. The Warped Tour offers the barbecue band Left Alone, wonderful band, amazing band from California. Elvis is the singer. Yeah, they were the barbecue band for this just poignant Warped Tour, where you're on the tour because you set up a barbecue at the end of the festival for all the musicians that couldn't get catering because their set list didn't really work with the scheduling. Okay. So all the different bands from Atreyu to Cave In to August Burns Red to Story of the Year to Big D to Bad Religion, we're all kind of like hanging out at the barbecue, you know the score. And so I don't know what it was, but they would always come up to me and be like, yeah, man, I play with Burp. It's pretty cool. And remember, these bands are bigger than my band. But I got my solo stuff, and I'd love, and they're trying to pitch their solos, not pitch, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, they're talking about the songs that mean more to them than the band they're on tour with. And I don't think y'all want to be that person. You know what I mean? Unless you have to do it, and I understand that. But do you know what I mean? Like, just be you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just be you. You don't want to get in a Twilight Zone Black Mirror. Yeah. You know, like, you don't want to make music, the most important thing in your life, work against you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so we fell in that trap in my old band. Signed a deal, and they wanted to change the style of the production and go for like a more of a kind of dancey angle. There was certain genres of dance that were really popular on Radio 1 at the time, so they were pushing us like down that, like, you know, we sort of you know, we went with it, regrettably. Well, I say, you know, I try not to have many regrets, because you learn to never do that shit again the hard way, and that's great. But yeah, I know what that feels like to be.
You know, not to be such a silly canilly, I don't regret it, because we're talking. Let us sit here.
Yeah.
I don't regret your decisions, because I think you're the shit, and we're talking. You know what I mean? Good, like, man. Do you know what I mean? I love what you're doing, and that let it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all part of the process of getting to that point of actually embracing your authenticity and going, yeah, fuck, I get that. It takes a while. For some people, I guess that just clicks from the start, and for others, you know, you start like that and you lose your way a bit when the politics start happening and you get in career mode and you forget what what your soul's saying, you know. So cool, man.
So I had another example, but I know I'm being such a twit, but what was, is it just advice?
Yeah, just advice, for aspiring artists, that are perhaps early on their journey.
Make sure you want to make the music that you want to make. We already talked about, I knew there was one other thing. Make sure you love the people that you're playing with. It's definitely, no one's going to work harder than you. Okay, so if you're an artist and you're a songwriter, you can't do the Boston thing. The Boston thing is I'm sure Chicago suffers from it too. New York's a different thing. But like, after you've worked your ass off to get the band together, to rehearse, make the songs, record them, get it all done. Once you've done all the work and you've done all the work, you can't stop. That's where it starts. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that that's where it starts. But the sentence, that white blank page of your story, all that work you did doesn't start until that white page, meaning now you have to work. Don't do that thing where you work your ass off to make a great record, which you did, and then not do the hustle for the record. And I use the word hustle in a multitude of ways. Like, you don't use the word like, like you're not a part of it. Because hustling is like brushing your teeth. Hustling is taking your contacts out. Hustling is making sure you do the laundry. You know what I mean? You're hustling, you're doing it. And so after you've done all that work, you have to understand that's where the work starts. And I'm sorry, but just stay true to yourself, and don't let the music industry friends replace the friends that have trouble complimenting you.
Yeah, love that. Fantastic, mate. I love that.
Yeah. But, and so, may I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay. So, I'm not that great with, like, I'm a good Dungeons and Dragons guy. Like, I'm good with, like, certain things, you know. But 69 Candy Street is... I'm pretty basic. Is the address a real place, or is there because Iron Maiden has a song about an address. I know all my address songs. In my life, I have all
Jake, our
songs.
producer, is a metalhead, and he's going, yeah, fucking Maiden. Like.
It's in Rancid too, you know, like
Avenue.
22, what is it?
Acacia Avenue.
Acacia Avenue?
Yes!
Sorry.
22, yeah. Hey, yes, man. So, you don't have to give up anything, you do your thing, but like, is it a lyrical thing, or is there a thing?
So, no, a pal of mine, Fletch, he lived, it was an address that he lived at in East London. I think it's in Bethnal Green, I want to say, or it might be Bow. In East London, 69 Candy Street was his actual address, and it could not have been more suited to Fletch. Like, he's just the fucking life and soul, you know what I mean? So that's where the title come from. But what I did with the writing was so my old job was car valeting. I used to have like a van and go out like mobile and wash and wax cars and stuff, and been out cold winter's day, just fucking like knackered, and I was writing this song whilst I was washing cars and stuff, and just fucking the 69 Candy Street that I created as that song was like this kind of parallel universe away from the everyday working grind where all your wildest dreams and fantasies come true, and that's why in the video we've got fucking butchers, bakers, electricians, decorators, like estate agents, fucking nuns, just everyday working people, and they get on the bus, the double-decker London bus, and the bus is heading to 69 Candy Street, and off it goes. Like, that's so I loved my mate's address. I just fell in love with that. I just thought that's fucking amazing. Like, so I just took that and then created this fantasy universe away from the everyday working grind, and that's what that means.
Yeah, awesome, and thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you taking an interest.
I just Rickety Old Train. May I ask you about Rickety Old Train? Can I just do this question and one more question about?
Of course,
your
mate.
Stuff? Yeah. So just Rickety Old Train.
So that one that was the first song that I wrote for Death of Guitar Pop, and the song's all about.
That was the first song. Yeah.
That song like changed. I know that's a wanky thing to say, but that is the song that sort of changed everything, and that's the song that went viral on Facebook and has been our shop window to the world. So yeah, that song is just about the trials and tribulations of a music career and getting nowhere with it, and this was like, okay, this is my second throw of the dice. I'm I'm 29 years old, but I feel like a rickety old train. You know, there's a line in it about they stood with their arms crossed. I played them guitar pop, drained my fragile heart oh so dry. And that's sort of about like what we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I tried with the industry thing, and I fucking gave it my best, and they just stood with their arms crossed. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's what that song's about. And then the ending, the switch up, which I know you mentioned to me before, that's a bit that you love.
Oh,
That's like there's that switch up in mood, and like it's positive, kind of like, you know, almost like a funky reggae vibe musically.
Yeah, sure.
And there's just a choo rickety old train. So there's a line beforehand, just like a Great Dane, I'm stood so tall. Wherever there's great pain, whenever I fall, say la vie, what will be, till I croak I remain. And then it's like, fuck it, I'm accepting this, choo, rickety old train, like off we go, you know what I mean? On to the new chapter. So yeah, it was really quite a poignant one for me, that. And I would say, again, it's another wanky thing to say, it's a bit fucking behind the music thing to say, but it's the most important song I've ever written, because it was the first ever guitar pop song, the first time that I tried writing in that style, and I really just bared my soul, and it was a crossroads for me, and it just seemed to connect with people and work, and yeah, here we are chatting, man. So yeah, it's so
God
that
damn
comes
it! I
from.
mean, I gotta
Yeah.
say, like, that's your first song. I mean, that song's, you know, it pulls me to my knees. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
thank you,
like
man.
it is such a great song. You know.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
So I had one more question. I have a question and a half, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And it's called, is this okay?
Yeah, mate. I'm flattered. Yeah.
So
Far away.
Scalzabolics.
So
Yeah.
that's just a bit. That's us having fun and create. We're always having fun, but you know what I mean. That's like, again, a bit of a fantasy world that we created, and it's like, I don't know if
Yeah. I can kind of, I can,
Yeah, you know,
like a Dre thing. And
yeah. So the music video is inspired by late '90s, early noughties
yeah.
P Diddy music videos with the gold Bentley and the girls in bikinis and the bling and everything. We just thought it'd be really funny for two skinny white boys from Essex to do that in a video, you know, in a ska song that kind of sounds like Chaz and Dave, you know, and yeah, that lyrically, that's just us having a bit of fun, writing about a scenario in which me and Top Cat become these mega stars and lose it all and lose our minds and have a rock and roll meltdown, and so all the cliches of you know, being a pop star. But we thought it'd be really hilarious to kind of use Chaz and Dave as like the musical muse, and Puff Daddy as the visual muse. You know what I mean? Like those worlds colliding. It was a bold move, but people seem to love it. Love it, man.
But
Cheers, dude.
okay, so last song, that's nice. Last question. Thank you. Okay, so you know, me being in Big D. Big D didn't get much love from the, you know, American music genre, like a kid who's not part of the cool crew. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always been most of Big D's musicians' life. So it's not a problem. We're not worried about it. It's
Sure.
You know, it's fine. But like, we didn't know. Like, sorry. So we're not part of these things. But like, so I'm going to ask you about a different band,
Mm-hmm.
because most of Big D's influential in, like, you know, was in England and Canada.
Yeah.
America didn't like Big D.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words, but like, America didn't love Big D because from 2000 whatever to 2000 whatever, that's what the prom queen was doing. But Canada and England is most of Big D's culture.
Wicked.
Other than Boston culture.
Sure.
So may I ask you about one record? I know it's a little bit tacky, but you are a big breath of fresh air for all. We love Hardskin. We love all these different bands: JB Conspiracy, The Foamers, Lightyear, Sonic Boom 6, Cap Down. We know like Big D's culture is so England.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Skinner with original pirate material. What do you think about that first record? And I'm only talking about that first record because that was a huge deal for me and Big D. And you have become fucking big deal for me and Big D. Man. And so, like,
thank you. I mean,
what do you think about Mike Skinner's first record?
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Like, huge cultural moment. Like, I think I was like 15, 16 when that come out, and in Essex as well, like where I'm from. I don't know if
he's from Essex too.
I don't know if he's from Essex, but he's definitely like London, like around. But he's not. He's from Birmingham, I think. Mike Skinner. He's from Birmingham. But there's I believe that's right. I could be wrong. But he's the style of music. So that single, original pirate material, is like garage music. I don't know if you're familiar with that form of dance, but garage, growing up in Essex was the hub of garage music, and that kind of like his lyric style. I mean, I look at Mike Skinner, particularly that period of Mike Skinner's music, is like a modern day Ian Jury or a Suggs or something. Do you know what I mean? His storytelling and his delivery, it's almost, and you're very similar, it's almost like rapping at times, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like culturally, huge. Like, yeah, it was a huge moment. And I love what he does. I've never really thought about myself taking influence from him as a vocalist, but now you've said it, I'm almost certain I've subconsciously have, because he is that whole style. You know, Ian Jury, Suggs, Mike Skinner. There was a local band called Missing Andy from round here who have just split up, sadly. They've been together for a long time. Great band, and it had a bit of a mod thing to it. But yeah, his vocal style has been a bit of an inspiration for me. Alex, the singer from that band in Def Guitar Pop, and I know that he was heavily influenced by Mike Skinner, because when they first emerged, like Mike Skinner was I think the second album had just dropped when Missing Andy first emerged. So yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, I mean, I love it. He's a genius.
Yeah, I mean, like for you know, an American USA band, like to see Mike Skinner do original pirate material for the first time, and clashing. Of course, everything at that time was clashing. Everything was mashups, and so he's mashing up ska with hip hop, with just abrasivity and just confidence. Like that record was amazing.
Yeah, it's great storytelling. And the second one, I think it was called A Grand Don't Come for Free. That's a brilliant concept album as well. And yeah, that Fit But You Know It, like it's almost got like a kind of ska skank to it, and it with that dirty guitar going don't. Yeah, it's no, I would say that Mike Skinner was certainly his generation's version of a Ian Jury or a Suggs or something. So I can definitely see where you've drawn that parallel.
Yeah, I mean, not to reiterate, but Big D and like who we are and our sound, it isn't the United States rat race. It's being influenced by global artists, and I would say that not to reiterate again, but like the UK and Canada have had more influence on Big D as an American artist than American bands.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating.
So we're an American band that's more influenced by, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what makes us the taster's choice.
Amazing. It's amazing how we'll sort of romanticize over one another's culture. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm the same with you.
From France.
Sorry?
PO box from
Right.
France, like hard skin, like
So,
yeah,
so I'm the same with like the American bands that I grew up with as a teenager, the pop punk bands and the new metal bands and everything like, and the rappers and everything that I loved, like your Eminems and Dre's and that. You romanticize about what they're singing about, like Compton and it's
yeah,
universes away from where you are, like, but it's great that little world that they're documenting. It's like you romanticize, and yeah,
yeah.
it's mad, isn't it, how it works like that? Because I remember a pal of mine who's from where's he from in America? I can't think. It will come back to me. But
It's
he
got to be at one of the coasts, Jersey,
do you know who it is?
New York,
Do you know a guy
Jersey,
called? Do you know?
Colorado.
It's Rick DeVoe. He used to manage Blink-182. You might know him.
It's in California, San Francisco, San Diego's LA. Sorry, just trying to throw
It's
things.
Yeah, it's California. I think it's California, but I can't remember what
Doesn't matter.
part or
West
whatever.
Coast, yeah.
But yeah, he loves our song "Back of a Lorry," and it's all about like wide boy East London Essex boys that sell like counterfeit and hooky and robbed like clothing and stuff and shit off the back of a lorry. It's like and some of the references in it are so British and not just like British, like really niche to like Essex culture, and
Yeah.
that's his favourite song, and it blew my mind that like someone that's like from this other universe that's never experienced the culture and like would even understand like what I'm singing, but yeah, I get it, because when I think about how I've romanticized over like Dre and Eminem for instance, or the third wave ska punk scene and all the cool shit and the pop punk thing and the new metal, like yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Like it's like,
But
because
if you don't mind me saying, like when you were saying what's the big deals with Yako and Lint from Operation Ivy and all these things, but Silky, us talking and me seeing you for the first time, I would love to do songs with you guys, like if I'm on your track or you're on my track. All I know is you are the motherfucker that I'm so hoping for everything for.
bless you.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am so hoping. I mean, I want you to do whatever it is that you want to happen in your music scene. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's this or that or the other thing, but Jesus Christ, man.
Mate, I'd love to.
Right? Like, I mean, like, oi, 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 oi. I don't like the way you guys arrange. I'm a big arranger, right? Because I'm a drummer at core.
Yeah.
Drummers usually. Just such a big fan.
Oh man, 100%. Let's do some tunes together. Like, I'm all over that, dude. I'd love to.
I'm so happy you hit the pavement.
Ah, thank you so much, man. And honestly, I'd love to make some music with you. So just call it on. Do you know what I mean? Let's fucking go. Send me some stuff, like some demos. I'll send you some bits, and let's stay in touch on the WhatsApp or whatever, and just start sending some ideas back and forth. And hopefully at some point as well we'll tour together. That'd be amazing,
Yeah, and just so you know, the talk that we're doing right now is that we are going to take whoever the bands in England, like I already said, the bands in England are more of our culture in Canada than the United States. We are going to set up some tours here, and we understand that we're not the Interrupters. We understand we're not the Dropkick Murphys. We like understand that, but we want to like present offerings, if you will, and the bands can, you know what I mean. It's better. It's a better than nothing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like we can do this, and we understand the flights don't blah blah blah. You know the score with finances, but Big D's next move after the new year, after the summer, is to present the bands like, excuse me, do you want to do this?
Would love to.
I know it's not the awesome, anti-flag tour that you're hoping for, but
Mate.
you know what I mean? Like, it might make you lose money, but you get over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
of course, yeah. Just DIY,
Yeah.
fucking, yeah, like, yeah, just bootstrapping it and fucking going for it, man. I mean, yeah, of course, mate. We'd love to. We'd love to. And I really
We're all
appreciate,
about it.
I really appreciate how much, what a fan you are and how much you're investing in this kind of new wave of bands and what that, I get the sort of, what that genuinely means to you, that that radiates from you, how much it means, like, that new bands are fucking, carrying the torch and pushing it. And yeah, I totally get it. And yeah, I'd love to, mate. So please, yeah, anything you got, man, if you want to make some stuff happen. Of course,
So it'd be like, it'd basically be one of those things. We did it for the Interrupters once, and it's like,
I saw that. I looked through your gig history.
Came there,
yeah,
and the shows were. They're like, we do good. I'm not trying to denounce us, but I'm just saying we're not the Foo Fighters. You know what I mean? We're not. It's not like
who's the fucking Foo Fighters?
Putting you on tour. You know what I mean? But man, if there's anybody we can help out, you're the shit, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I have one more question. And that's what is it? Radio Train 69. Oh, I forget. Oh shit! Let me just. I think. Oh. Suburban
Ska Club.
What's the full? I'm sorry. What's the title?
Suburban Ska Club.
Suburban Ska Club. The choruses are obviously the shit, and the songs obviously the shit, but verses, like, wow, that's cool verses. Like,
thank you.
Happiness will be, like, what's up with that? Where were you when you were writing those? Like,
so like the groove is inspired by the selector. It's either because we listen to the bass in the studio, and that's what I said to Bonsai, our bass player. I was like, we need this kind of like groove, and it was either on my radio.
I think more the happiness.
Oh, the lyrics.
Yeah, the lyrics.
So where the lyrics come from is my first kind of thing I did on the ska scene was like before I got the band together, or just Johnny and I were writing, I think, but before it was a public thing, I took it upon myself to put on like a monthly ska night at a local pub in Grays in Essex, and it was a good education for me in both like learning more of the back catalogue and the genre in general, and having to be on your game when the purists are in and throwing stuff at you and stuff. But what was actually cool was the kind of dynamic at the night was there was me as this kind of younger upstart, like in his first fucking Tartan Fred Perry, and then all these old boys and girls that were like there, they were teenagers during dance craze or whatever, and it's their, it's an older core audience, and they were great. They really like loved the fact that someone young had like, shown an interest and was doing something and putting a night on or whatever. So it was a good education, and the lyrics from that. So that's what Suburban Ska Club is about. It's about that night. It's about the characters that used to inhabit it.
And one night.
Yeah, and well, not the one particular night, but the regular night and the regulars that used to inhabit it. And the verse lines about happiness will start to make sense one day. I think some of that is coming from a deeper place, of like personal anguish. But on the surface, I think that it was me observing these like guys and girls that on a Saturday night were just going, fuck it, it's not fucking 8 pints back and I'm off my rocker, like, and I want to hear skinhead reggae all night long. Like, one day I'll do this stuff. I'll trade the session for songs of praise. I'll stop moaning when it starts raining. So one day I'll be that positive person, but right now, fuck it, I'm off my rocker and I want to hear skinhead reggae all night long, like, you know, just. So that's what inspired that, yeah.
All right, well, I gotta tell you, man, Silky, I feel like this podcast and this conversation has been a very big gift for me because I think you're the shit, man.
Thank you, man.
I feel I'm always going to be in your back, and I always offer you anything I can do in my small little tribe. But I feel that, you know, when you see ska bands get bigger and people push different people to the spotlight, you are the guys that I connect myself with.
Thank you.
And you are the guys that make me have electric energy with feeling music and loving music and getting more energy for your own basic daily trends. You have to like go do things, and you guys for me are that band. And so thanks for letting me ask those couple questions, because man, you are the shit.
Oh,
I think you are
man.
A person of importance that I just have a lucky ability to be talking to.
Oh, dude, no. Like, I mean, it's the feeling's mutual, mate. I got a huge respect, and I'm so grateful. It's been such a wonderful chat, man. I feel like I've you know, we had a nice exchange at New Crossing, but today I feel like I've made a friend for life. So thank you, man. Appreciate it, dude.
Oh man, I thank you.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, mate, it's been a fucking pleasure. Yeah, stay in touch. Let's start sending one another some ideas, music, and that. And yeah,
I'd love to.
Let us know.
You have to be on the Big D record.
Yeah,
and we have to get you over the pond. And even if it's not financially awesome feasible, at least you get your boots in the mud.
Oh, bless you, man. Thank you so much, Dave. And I just, really appreciate your time and all the like wonderful compliments as well, man. That really means the world to me. Thank you. That's lovely. And yeah, you've been a fucking.
My daughter loves you too.
Awesome. And you've been a legend, mate. I mean, so many fascinating insights that you've provided there, and this is all about facilitating DIY musicians with more knowledge. And yeah, there's no one better qualified, man. So thank you.
All right, you guys.
All right, brother. Take care, yeah, and we'll chat soon.
Okay, boy.
See you, mate.